It's one of the most interesting times to be alive right now because of one is artificial intelligence. And again, probably more powerful than the internet. Millionaires are embracing that. Things are going to change regardless of how you feel about it. So it would be better to embrace that change and capitalize on that change and use that change to. Hey gang, Michael Lush here with the Replace Your University podcast. I have a couple books that I'm going to go over today, and they're all written by a good friend of mine, Keith Cameron Smith. So buckle up, you'll love this one. All right, so buddy of mine, Keith Cameron Smith, and I don't say buddy of mine just because he's a random associate. I've had multiple conversations with him. We interact on Facebook. That makes us friends, right? So anyways, he's done some trainings for my audience and some of my sales staff. And there are 3 books that I have read probably anywhere from 15 to 20 years ago, but they are still relevant today. So one of my favorites is The Top 10 Distinctions Between Millionaires and Middle Class. The next one is The Top 10 Distinctions Between Winners and Whiners, and The 10 Distinctions Between Entrepreneurs and Employees. So first, I want to go over this one. Top distinctions between millionaires and middle class. And man, again, let's see when this was written. 2007. In fact, it looks like a glamour shots right there. That's him. He doesn't look like that today. So a lot of people have that as their LinkedIn profile too. So let's go through each one of these, what the distinctions are between millionaires and middle class. So number 10, millionaires think long-term and the middle class thinks short-term. So how would I make that relevant to the way I view it? Instead of just reading verbatim, you can pick up these books, Amazon, if you would like, and kind of do a deeper dive. But I also want to do just a quick snapshot and make it relevant to the way I view it. So millionaires thinking long-term and middle class thinking short-term. The middle class thinking short-term, most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, right? Where millionaires are far more disciplined and think of the long game, right? So the middle class is like, okay, I'm surviving until my next paycheck, but if that paycheck doesn't come in, what happens? Bills don't get paid. And because they have such a narrow margin between income and expenses, they are not provided the luxury of thinking long-term because of their limited belief system. However, millionaires will sometimes struggle and have what we call addition through subtraction, where they will minimize things for a short period of time, but they see around the curve. And like, for example, a recession, millionaires compound their wealth many times over during recessions. You know, me and Evan were talking off camera about JP Morgan, and Jamie Dimon, who's the president and CEO of JP Morgan. His fortification of assets in his banking system and how he kind of rose through the ranks was he would minimize the balance sheet and the debt that they had as far as a bank and become extremely liquid. And during downturns, that's when he would be one of the few participating banks with the ability to gobble up other banks. And that's what he did with his first bank. And that's also what he did with JP Morgan Chase and how they became the largest bank in the world when they gobbled up Bear Stearns, because they were the only bank in the country that the government came to him and said, you're the only one that has the ability to buy Bear Stearns. Bear Stearns was trading at $70 a share. Jamie offered him $2 a share. And so obviously there's this negotiation. It's like, okay, why $2 when it last traded for $70? He's like, because I'm the only one that can purchase them. So if we're going to purchase them, we're going to purchase them on my terms, and it's $2 a share. So it eventually goes through. He buys Bear Stearns for $2 a share. Next thing you know, now JP Morgan has leapfrogged Citigroup as the largest bank in the world. So millionaires think long-term. They're not after tomorrow's money. They're after next year or next decade's money. They are actually utilizing recessions to compound their worth. So they're far more disciplined than the middle class are. What's the next distinction? Millionaires, I love this one. Millionaires talk about ideas. The middle class talks about things and other people. It's so true. If you're in a group of individuals and you're having a conversation and all they seem to do is talk about other people, quite frankly, you're probably in the wrong group, depending on how they're talking about those other people. If they're talking about how other people inspire them and how other people motivate them and other people force them to grow and other people hold them accountable, that's a different meaning. What I'm talking about is getting in a group and, Nancy Sue over there, she can't do anything right. She's a terrible mom. They're probably going broke. It's like, wrong group. Millionaires don't do that. Millionaires get in a room and try to come up with new inventions, innovative ideas, new strategies to not only get better personally, but also to get better professionally, by and large. Now, some of you haters on here will probably say, I know a millionaire and all they do is talk crap about somebody. Okay, whatever. People make mistakes. People are flawed. But by and large, that's not what they do. Their mindset is constantly on productivity. It's all constantly on growth, self-improvement, and professional improvement. So that's something to think about when you're in your sphere of influence. You are the sum of the 5 people around you. We've all heard that, right? It is so true. If you're around 5 people, all they want to do is nitpick. And here's the other thing. Your biggest cheerleaders may not be with inside of your own group. And if that's the case, you're in the wrong group. You need to get in a group where people are uplifting and cheering you on, not talking about you or being jealous of you behind your back. Number 8, millionaires embrace change. The middle class is threatened by change. Look in today's society. There's the code word today, or I would say code word, the keyword is, or the hashtag is artificial intelligence, right? It is changing the way the world is before our eyes. No different than how the internet changed the way the world is. What is the quantum physicist Miyacho Kaku? Yeah. Anyways, he talks about we're moving into what's called a type 1 civilization. And there's 3 layers of civilizations, type 1, type 2, and type 3. And that we are quickly advancing. And he feels like by the year 2100, we will be a type 1 civilization because of how quickly things are advancing right now as we're alive. It's one of the most interesting times to be alive right now because of one is artificial intelligence. And again, probably more powerful than the internet. Millionaires are embracing that. Things are going to change regardless of how you feel about it. So it would be better to embrace that change and capitalize on that change and use that change to bring about a better quality of life. However, the middle class views change as something that's threatening, right? Because they don't feel like they're in a position to capitalize. They don't feel like they're in a position to improve, that it could be in a position to threaten their jobs per se, right? And in my opinion is AI could more easily replace what I do versus what a plumber does, what an electrician does, what a carpenter does. If I don't have those skill sets, and I don't, then those jobs are always going to be in need. However, information is getting more advanced and more easily at your fingertips. Think of ChatGPT. You can learn a lot of things from ChatGPT, and understand that ChatGPT is a bit biased too. And it's also something that is based on previous discussions. It's not an intuitive, intellectual. So it's called AI, artificial intelligence. It's only as intelligent as the information that's being provided to it. But quantum computing is going to take that light years ahead. So, again, the middle class is worried about this change. And instead, we could see this change as an opportunity to serve at a greater capacity, right? So if you are a plumber, electrician, carpenter, I feel like your job is not easily replaced. Is there any technology that you can think of from an AI perspective that would be able to wire electric from my house to my barn? I can't think of any artificial intelligence that could do that. But we do know of artificial intelligence that could totally replace what I'm doing, put another person here, script it out, and it would talk to you as if it was me, and you wouldn't know the difference. So I'm more easily replaced than that is. But I don't view it that way. I'm not worried. I don't have a scarcity mindset that I'm going to be replaced. Instead, how can we utilize these new technologies to condense time? So instead of me being in here pumping out 4 hours of content, could I spend 20 minutes putting information into a system that then creates videos and messages that goes out to the world so that I can attract more clients? That's how I choose to view it versus, again, the middle class is just threatened by change. All right. Number 7, millionaires take calculated risk. The middle class is afraid to take risk. And we've all heard it. Without risk, there's no reward, right? So it's not to say chase every shiny object. That's not what millionaires do. But they do look at layers of risk. I was talking to an individual who's got $1 million of cash to deploy in various types of investments. And he made a comment to me. He's like, I'm in this. He's in digital real estate, and he's in this other fund that's producing 46%. And he's like, I've got an extra $500,000. I need to throw something else. And really, I'm after the highest rate of return. Well, we all are. But one thing you have to do is take calculated risk, because understand that typically the higher reward comes with higher risk. So you need to diversify your investments and say, I'm going to take a percentage of it. And it's going to be into high risk, high reward stuff, right? And a lot of times they pay off and a lot of times they don't. But when those do pay off, you exponentially grow your wealth. And again, no risk, no reward. But then we want to take a percentage of it and put it into maybe some middle growth stuff that's not as risky, that it's a little bit more, I wouldn't say guaranteed, but more of a fixed return. And then we're going to get into stuff that may be traditional, where it's like, the last 50 years, this has always produced 8 to 10% returns. Not sexy, but you're also not going to lose your pants if something bad were to happen. So we need to diversify this. So that's what I mean by calculated risk. And that's what millionaires do. They take their wealth and they spread it out and diversify so that one investment may complement another one, but also another investment may offset the risk of another one as well. Where the middle class are just too scared to take any type of risk because they have the scarcity mindset. They say that I'm only working with this. And they're not being creative, they're not being innovative. There are actually ways to earn money that is not yours. And what I mean by that is, we have an example of day trading. People want to learn day trading. Day trading is a very high-paying skill set if you do it the right way and you're disciplined. Keyword is discipline, because if you're not disciplined, you see something, it's a shiny object, and you're going to throw all eggs in one basket, it turns the opposite direction, and again, you've lost your shorts. But where was I going with it? High risk, high reward, discipline. I know. Day trade. Oh, money. So anyways, you can actually make money using capital that's not yours. So with the day trading platform, you can actually earn your way. I have a brother-in-law that's passing a test, and once he passes a test, he can actually earn a $300,000 capitalized account. It's called a prop account. So it's $300,000 that he trades with, and he can actually earn anywhere from 75 to 90% of the returns from 300,000, and the owner of the account gets the rest. Why is that a win-win? The owner doesn't have to do anything, just put up the capital. But he's doing all the work, he has the skill set, and he gets 75 to 90% of the returns. And he did it without utilizing any of his own money. In real estate, they call it wholesaling. You can actually earn money in real estate without actually using any of your own capital. Wholesaling is getting a property under contract at a good price and then finding another team of investors to flip that contract to. My buddy and business partner, Edmund, that was his first real estate deal. He made over $20,000 inside of 1 month by getting a property under contract, then finding out he really didn't want to work on it, found another team that would, and they bought it for $20,000 more than what he had it under contract for. So he was just the middleman, and he put no money into it and earned $20,000 in less than a month. So you just got to be creative if you are the middle class of how to go about acquiring these assets. So again, millionaires take calculated risk, where the middle class is afraid to take risk. Distinction number 6. Millionaires continually learn and grow. The middle class thinks learning ended with school. Wow, this one definitely hits home to me. I did well in high school, not so much in college. Actually, I was a very poor student in college, but I did go to college for 5 years because that's how long it took. But it was business administration and corporate finance and a minor in marketing. Um, I'll be honest with you, maybe 5 to 10% of that do I actually use today. And that's why I'm not a huge advocate for college. We are preparing for college for our 5 boys, but we are not pushing college on our kids. If they want to go into a very specialized skill set, doctor, lawyer, accountant, okay, maybe college is the right path for you. If they want to be an entrepreneur and business owner, don't go to college. Millionaires don't stop their growth and learning. Here's a perfect example. Just to produce this content, I'm breaking out a book that I've had for 15 or 20 years and skimming through it just to produce this content. And as I'm skimming through it, I'm relearning things that I may have learned before, but then I forgot about it over the years, right? So millionaires continually learn and grow because their businesses are dependent on it. They have to be on the cutting edge. They have to see around curves and corners. They have to see what's coming next because their business is dependent on it, right? So they are constantly learning and growing, not just because of the financial impact of that, but also because for some, they're more out after who they have to become in order to have that type of achievement. That's the biggest reward sometimes. However, the middle class thinks learning ended with school. So how many of us went to school, got your degree? In fact, I just recently read a stat that Harvard graduates, when you guess how much a Harvard graduate, when they graduate, what their starting salary is in the industry, 60 grand, $60,000. It's probably $200,000, $300,000 worth of student loans to now go get a job that pays you $60,000. There's other people too that feel like, okay, went to high school, got my diploma, maybe got community college. Nothing's wrong with that, right? In fact, I wish I'd have gotten a head start on business as opposed to going to college, but I was an athlete. So that was other reasons why I went to college. But if it wasn't for sports, I wish I had a 4-year head start on business than I do now. I would be 4 years further ahead. But again, the middle class feels like schooling is the only place to get education, where real education, this is where you get it from. It could be places like Replace University, where we teach you about replace your mortgage, replace your employer in real estate investing, replace your dollar in day trading, replace your banker and how to become your own bank, replacing your mindset. Shameless plug for Replace University, but there's a plethora of other places out there where you can get information like that that could expand not only if you were to create a business or a side hustle, but it could also expand where you're currently at too. I remember being director of operations for a mortgage division and really pouring into myself during a season where I read probably a book every other week. And during that period is when I had the most growth professionally, and that was in my W-2 career, let alone what it catapulted me into by creating my own business. So again, millionaires continually learn and grow. The middle class thinks learning ended with school. Actually, the end of school is where the real learning begins. What is the saying? Just forgot it. We can edit this part while I look for it because I know we went over it one time. Oh, here it is. All right. So now we're back after I had my ADHD moment. In school, they teach you a lesson and give you a test. The real world, however, gives you a test and then teaches you a lesson. So that kind of goes in hand with the millionaires continually learn and grow, and the middle class thinks learning ended with school. Distinction number 5, millionaires work for profits. The middle class works for wages. How would I put this in my own terms? The middle class is trading hours for dollars. So we are telling someone who is really the owner of our dreams and hopes that this is how much our time is worth. And we come up with a contract called a W-2 and say, if I work here for an hour, you're going to give me $25. Is that truly the value of your hour, especially if you're a family man or a family woman? You've got kids, you got a marriage, you've got extended family, you've got other hopes and dreams. Is that really what your time is worth? Is $25 an hour? And unfortunately, the middle class feels like that's the only way there is to put food on the table. So they exchange time for money. They work for wages, where millionaires work for profits. They don't work for things. Contrary to popular belief, you see millionaires that got these boats and these fancy cars and nice houses. Really, what millionaires are doing is they are after profits, and what they do is they take those profits, reinvest those profits into other businesses to create even more profits. And then eventually, if they want to, they use their things to buy them things, where the middle class is using their cash flow to buy them things instead of using their cash flow to acquire assets that can then turn into the things that they want. So again, millionaires work for profits and the middle class work for wages. Distinction number 4, millionaires believe that they must be generous. The middle class believes it can't afford to give. Millionaires are incredibly generous. We have one charity called Heart of Champion Sports, where we're sharing the gospel with young athletes. But that doesn't mean that that could be the only charity. I just recently had a conversation late last week with someone on Area Recovery's team. Area Recovery is former Spec Ops combat veterans that are no longer in the military and feel like their life's purpose and their skill set is no longer valued. However, it is, because sex trafficking is a real thing. So they've created an organization, a community where all these Spec Ops members can come together and actually now have another purpose, another passion in life, and go out, kick in doors, and save people from sex trafficking. So that's something that really aligns with my values and aligns with a lot of the people that I kind of surround myself with. So there's nothing to say that we can't have a second charity that we help. Some of the events that we're putting on in the future will have a sole purpose of just raising money for these charities. So millionaires are incredibly generous, right? However, the middle class believes it can't afford to give. You feel like, is the battery down or something? You just wanted to stay? Okay. All right. No, I thought you were wanting to stop me, like, oh, this is about to die, I don't have audio or something. But the middle class believes it can't afford to give. Think of it in terms of church. I've told this story many times where we were a member of a church, of a very small church. So tithing was obviously small. And you take a family like mine out of the equation, tithing goes down, right? If you've only got 10 people, and it was more than that, let's say there was 100 people in this church, but a couple families were millionaires, that church is really dependent on that family to have VBS, vacation Bible school, going on missions trips, etc. Now we're a member of a bigger church, and it is more affluent, but the same thing with that one. That church's biggest mission is going out and freeing people from slavery, because slavery today is actually a higher number than it was during the Civil War. So because of the immense tithing that we have at our church, they can afford VBS, they can afford mission trips, they can afford having solutions to go out and free people from slavery. Because if you're blessed, you can become a blessing, right? So that's what the millionaires believe. They're incredibly generous with their money. However, the middle class feels like they can't afford it. Number 3, millionaires have multiple sources of income. The middle class only has 1 or 2. I think the stat is the average millionaire has 7 to 8 income streams. And it is vital in business because as quickly as you've made it, it's as if you only have 1 or 2 income sources, that's how quickly it can be dissolved. However, if you have multiple income streams that sometimes can be complementary and some that can be offset one another, you have to have multiple income streams to not only stay ahead, but actually get further ahead.